We've all got scars, some on the outside and some on the inside. But we can't be defined by our scars. I've spoken with some extraordinary people about how they've become empowered by their scars. This is I've Got Scars, baby.
So I am so excited right now. We have a very special guest on the show. Her name is Miss Linda McQueen. She is an author. She is the director and founder of the Heartburn Foundation, and she is a fellow burn survivor. And so I'm so happy to have you on the show today, Miss Linda. I appreciate you, and you have quite a story to tell. So I want to go ahead and get into it. I will say this. I like to kind of give a little how I met you type of thing on the show sometimes. I did a podcast with your lovely daughter, and she said, "Oh my goodness, you need to talk to my mom. She is a burn survivor and she's done all these amazing things. And she has a powerful story." And she was very right. You do have a powerful story. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're certainly welcome, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good, 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 good. So yes. So your story it's actually very unique. Um it's something that I kind of looked at as, because my story, I was burned as a baby, and it was just kind of kids being kids type of thing. But you had a completely different experience because you weren't burned as a child, and you were actually not just kind of hanging out by yourself. You were trying to help someone else, right? So
Yes.
I want you to share your story about your burn and how that came about.
Well, I was a flight attendant in 1971, and on June 10th of 1972, I was on a routine flight from Nashville to LaGuardia. Well, all the passengers had gotten off except one couple in the back. And when I went to him and asked him why he was not getting off, he said he had just had open heart surgery and he would feel better if he had oxygen. So I went up to the front, got the captain, had him come back because we normally don't give oxygen on the ground. That's done by the paramedic. So the captain came back, he checked him out, he okayed it. He looked at me and said, "Okay, go ahead and give him the oxygen since he's had some medical conditions." I took the bottle down like I normally do, and I put it in a seat across from him, and my back was toward him because I wanted to test it. Normally, they don't test oxygen on the airplane like they do in the hospital. So I wanted to test it before I gave it to him. So as I began to turn it on, it blew up like a bomb and it caught me on fire from my chest up.
Whoa.
The captain grabbed a blanket. He put my face and my hair out. They rushed me to the operating room in the hospital. And as I was laying there on the table, they lost my heartbeat. And it was going boop, 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 and then it went boop, boop, it flatlined. Then I heard them say, "Cold blue, cold blue." And they came in the room, they bust through the doors, and they put this paddle on me. And as they put the paddle on me, it was lifting me up in the air, trying to get my heartbeat back. And they did it 3 times. And on the third time, they lifted me up so high in the air, my spirit was on the ceiling. And I was on the ceiling looking down at the back of the doctor's head and looking at my body on the table. And what confused me was I was just as alive on the spirit as I in spirit as I was when I was in my body. So the next thing I knew, I crossed over in an area I had never been before. Now, the next thing I knew, I saw my grandfather. My grandfather died when I was 5 years old. And he was saying, "Go back." And I was saying no. And he was saying yes. And I was saying no. And the next thing I knew, I said, "Wait a minute. You're supposed to be glad to see me." Well, he turned around and looked at me with disgust and said, "Just go back." Well, I didn't know how to go back because I didn't know how I got there. So the next thing I know, I heard this, and I was in the brightest of whitest of lights that you can imagine. It was so bright, I put my hands in front of my face and I was trying to peer through my fingers to see if I could see what this light was. It was too bright, it was blinding. And I couldn't open my eyes, but I could hear this. What have you done to bless someone while you were on earth? And is anybody better off because they know you? Well, I must have had the wrong answer because I got kicked out of heaven. And the next thing I knew, I was back in my body. And as I'm laying in my body, the doctors told my mother because of the size of her head, she's going to have brain damage. Her hair will never grow back. She's going to be blind and she'll never use her hand. And my mother said, let me tell you something. I just talked to the Lord and he told me in 5 years, when you look at my daughter, you're not going to know she had this accident. And I'm sitting there in a coma listening to everything. And I'm thinking, 5 years. Well, I want to tell you, it was 4.5 years the Lord can completely restore me.
Wow.
All the black card came off my face. I was red raw meat. And from red raw meat, I turned white. And then from white, I started getting pigments in my face. The black dots started getting in my face. My color was going back. So the Lord completely restored me. He brought my color back. My color started coming in, it looked like freckles. And then the freckles got bigger and bigger and they started connecting. Then my eyebrows came back. Then my eyelashes came back. And then my hair started swirling back. So I got more hair now than I've ever had in my life. So then I started playing the piano to get the energy back in my hands because my hands were really stiff. And when I put my hands down, the blood would rush to my hands and it would cause me a lot of pain. So I started working with my hands. And I started playing the piano again. As a matter of fact, I play for a church right now. So the Lord completely restored me. And I got busy. I started a foundation called Heartburn. When you get burned, it breaks your heart. So I started Heartburn, and we support families that are burned out of their homes that don't have insurance with clothing, shelter, food, and whatever else they need, a bill paid or whatever. And what it depends on how much money we have as to how we can support them.
Okay. Now, Miss Linda, my goodness. Okay. You have said a whole lifetime of stuff. Like if one of those things happened for a person, it would be amazing. And I say amazing as in it would be profound. It would be a huge thing. If just someone getting burned, because here's your story. Oh my goodness. Because it's not just about the burn. It's about the burn, but also it's about being outside of your body and having this out of body experience. And then what you just also said is that it was like, well, what have you done for people that they could remember you by? And then you have the Heartburn Foundation. If this is not a lesson for people to really contribute to society, I don't know what is. Wow. So let's go back. Let's go back to your experience outside of your body. When you're talking about being outside of your body, and then coming back into your body, what for you, how did you take that? Did you just say, hey, I need to get it together and just immediately start doing it? Or were you just like, you know what, let me just focus and heal? And then, kind of obey that? Or were you a little like confused when you kind of came back? Like, that was the weirdest thing ever. Like, what was going on with you when you got back into your body and realized you had this experience?
Well, when I got back into my body, I had to focus on healing because looking in the mirror, it was devastating. So I had to really focus on my healing, and getting back to normal and learning how, when your hands are messed up, when you go to the bathroom, you got to have somebody come in and help you because I couldn't even put my hands down beside my body because it was just so painful.
Yeah.
So, when you can't use your hands, you can't feed yourself. It's a lot of things that you can't do when you can't use your hands. So I was focusing basically on my healing. And then once I was able to get healed, got myself together, then I start focusing on what can I do to support other people. So one of the main things I started to do is I started working in a burn camp. So I started working with children that has been severely burned and explaining to them how to get through it. Because once you go through a devastating experience, it's the struggle that makes you strong. So once you've been through that struggle, you become very powerful. And that what you have to do is reach back and tell that next person how to get through it.
Yes, absolutely. I truly believe that. So as an adult burn survivor, and you said you looked at yourself and you didn't want to see yourself. That's my story, is looking at my, like, I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror because I didn't want to see my scars. So for you, and I know you have scars on your arms right now, but your whole face. And so what was that experience like for you? Did you feel like I will never get better? Did you have the faith? Your mom said she had the faith that within 5 years you would be back to normal. And your hair is beautiful, it's gorgeous. But did you have faith during that time of healing?
Yeah, I believed that I would heal. I didn't know how I was going to look when I completely finished healing, but I knew that I was going to heal and I wasn't going to continue to look that way because I was seeing changes. Because when I was black, the fire burned me. I was just completely black. My face was completely black, and skin had to be peeled off of me. It was like being skinned alive. All that skin that was on me was dead skin. They had to put me in these iron tubs, and the iron tubs had to take that dead skin. The skin was just hanging on you, but it had to come off of you, but it was still attached to you. So it was excruciating pain. So I had to get all that dead skin off of me. Then after all the skin came off of me, I was completely red, raw meat. So I didn't know how I was going to heal. I didn't know if I was going to keloid, which I did keloid on the side of my face, and they were able to take it off. So one thing about Black people, a lot of times when we heal, we were keloid.
Yes,
so,
you will. I know. Yeah.
So I had a keloid on the side of my face and underneath my chin, and they were able to cut it off. So it was a blessing for me. But after the black char came off, I was red, and then from red I went to white, and then my pigment started coming in. But when I was in the hospital, I was in the hospital for 3 months, and they wouldn't let me see myself. They wouldn't let anybody in my room with the mirror. So I couldn't see myself for 3 months.
So you couldn't see yourself.
If I had to see myself, I would have gave up at that time because I was something to look at. I was really amazing. And they had to get people ready, as they was coming in my hospital room. They had to say, now, I don't know if you're going to be able to handle this. So if you go in the room and it devastates you, just come out and don't say anything. So they had to get people ready because all the flight attendants were coming in to see me from different places, and all the airline crews are coming in. So it was amazing. I got a lot of company, but it was amazing.
Wow. So at this time, did you have children? How old were you? Were you a young woman?
I was 22. Wow. I didn't have any children. I was just
starting my young woman.
Just starting my life. Matter of fact, if I'd have been older, I don't know if I would have made it.
Wow.
Yeah, because they said I had youth on my side. That's why I was able to get through this. But if I had been an older person, I don't know if I would have made it.
Wow. Okay. So and I do want to get into the element of work and this experience, but only a little bit, because I know there's a whole other element to that. So it took you about 5 years to kind of get back to yourself and looking more like yourself. Did you want to continue to be a flight attendant at that point in time when you were kind of like, okay, I'm ready to work again? Did you want to do that, or did you choose to do something else?
No, I wanted to be a flight attendant because that's what I chose to do. And
Mhm.
the accident didn't happen in the air, it happened on the ground.
Yeah.
So when I got ready to return to be a flight attendant, then they told me I didn't look good enough to be on the airplane because at that time you couldn't have marks or scars. And my hands were very burned, and I do have a skin graft on my right hand. And they said because I had marks or scars that I couldn't work on the airplane. So I had to fight to get my job back. So I had to work in reservations for a year. And as I was working in reservations, I was making appointments to see the vice president, the senior vice president. So I was able to get in to see them and tell them my story and tell them what I wanted to do. And they told me they couldn't make that decision, but they would take a man out of their office that would open up a door for me so I could go into flight service that was in New York at the time and let me go in and tell my story and see if I could get my job back. So they opened the door for me, but I had to basically fight and talk to different ones about getting my job and why I thought I needed to have it back.
Wow. You would think they would try to roll out a red carpet for you because of all that you've done and been through. And the fact that you even still wanted to do it in the first place is, amazing. Like, wow. Wow. So now you have to, because I know there's a lot of people who have physical differences, scars, things of that sort. They've been burned, and they face a lot of discrimination because of that, as in the workplace, because people want to see people, and there's a certain look or a certain whatnot. So, I just want to commend you for fighting. And were you able to get your job back?
I was. Not only did I get my job back, but I took the exam to become a purser. So God gives promotion. I passed the exam and I was a purser, which is a supervisor on international flights. So I started flying South America, Europe, and Asia, and I was a supervisor on those flights.
Wow. Oh, you better come through. You better come through. That is amazing. That's amazing. Like God added the increase for real, for real. I love that. I love that. So with all that you just talked about, what would you say, how did this experience empower you? Have you always been had this level of strength and perseverance? I know this happened at 22, but how did it change you inwardly?
It made me stronger, and it made me realize that, when you go through something, you've got to reach back and help that other person get through it. So like I said, it's a struggle that makes you strong. And once you go through something and you're fighting for your life, when you see other people that have been burned, severely burned, and they're struggling, you got to tell them how to get through it and how to make it to the next step. That's why it was so important for me to be a counselor at the Burn Foundation. I worked for Georgia Firefighters Burn Foundation as a counselor for like 5 years. And you see these little children that come in that are severely burned and not only injured physically, they're injured mentally. So you have to talk to them and try to get them through it and tell them how uniquely different they are.
Yeah.
And your burns make you uniquely you. And so you have to just explain that to them and get them through that. And I say, you have to wear your scars as stars. So you have to make their mind strong as well as their body.
I love that. Wear your scars as stars. I love that. So what would you to say to someone who has experienced they maybe they're burned, they have physical scars or physical differences, or maybe they actually just have they're having trouble with their self-esteem. What would you say to someone who really just they need help getting to a space where they feel empowered internally? Like, what would you say to that person? They're like, look, Miss Linda, I'm struggling right now. I need you to I need some advice. What would you say to that person?
The best advice I could give them is the way you become strong is helping other people. When you help other people, that gives you strength. And not only does it give you strength, but it makes them stronger, and it makes them go out and help someone else. It starts a chain. So once you talk to them and you empower them and tell them what to do, and then you say, now you have to keep this train going, and you talk to somebody and empower them and tell them what they need to do to keep going. It's a chain. You have to keep it going like an engine.
Wow. So you're trying to say that you don't have to be all the way confident, all the way there, so to speak, in order to help somebody else in their journey?
No, because when you start talking to another burn survivor and you lift them up and you tell them, now the message that I've given you, you talk to another burn survivor and tell them what you had to go through and lift them up and get them going. So the strength is in yourself. And as you give that strength and you talk to other people, that empowers them, makes them feel good about themselves, and they pass that message on. It's like paying it forward.
Paying it forward. I love that, because it does make sense, because the more you start to speak about, to empower somebody else, you start to receive that empowerment yourself, right? So I think I heard someone say the best way to learn a lot of times is to teach. And because you're gonna get the lesson over and over and over again.
Right.
I love it. I love it so much. And I know we only talked a little bit about your battle with the airline, but I think that is really, really powerful. And I know that you also have a friend. You wrote a book, and you have a friend who also had an experience, and you guys have changed the way things happen for flight attendants. You guys have actually been, in there. You changed the game for people. And so I don't want to get too much into that right now, because I just knew your story was just, woo, it's a lot. So I didn't, so what I want to do is I want this to be a part 2 to this conversation. And we'll do the part 2 soon. But I just want to thank you so much for your time. And how can people read your book? How can people connect with you? What's the best way?
I have a website. It's author Linda McQueen, and it's also on Amazon. TakingFlightJourney.com is our website, and you can also get it on Amazon. Taking Flight Linda McQueen, but TakingFlightJourney.com is our website, and they can order the book from me, and that way I can autograph it. So if they go through Amazon, it won't be autographed. Got
you. You better get that autograph now, people. Go ahead, get it autographed, because you are a change maker. You've really changed things, and it's amazing. And you would never know to look at you. The only thing I can see is the scars on your arm, but you would never know all the things that you have been through. And so I think that's a testament to how amazing God is, and your mom knew it. Let me tell you something. It is amazing. I remember I was praying one day, and I said, Lord, I'm so tired of these scars. I said, I just wish you could take some of these scars away. And as I prayed, the Lord said to me, if I take away your scars, no one will believe your story. Woo! Okay, you about to have me running all up and through here, Miss Linda. You about to have me running, okay? You know what? That is real. That is real. And you know what? I'm so glad. I'm so glad you shared that, because people a lot of times, and I know myself, I was ashamed of my scars. I was ashamed of the time that I didn't look at myself in the mirror because of my scars. But had it, because I shared with you, 18 months old, I was burned, and I didn't look at myself in the mirror until I was 25. But had it been a different story, had I looked at myself in the mirror when I was 8 and just dealt with it, we wouldn't be talking. And so, I thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times people may feel like, well, I wish I didn't have to go through this difficult experience, right? But it is the scars. The scars make you beautiful. They really do. And they really encourage people. They really are, like you said, kind of like unique identifiers. They make you you. And it's beautiful.
Yes.
If we choose to see it that way. And it doesn't have to be physical scars. I want people to understand, because not everybody watching has physical scars, but even the internal things that you've experienced in life can truly, truly, truly mold you into a person that is lovable. You are more empathetic. You are more compassionate. Like, these are qualities that are amazing and beautiful. And, so I thank you for saying that. I thank you so much for saying that, because I would never know. You would never know just by looking at you. So thank you for sharing your story today. If there's anything you would like to share before we get out of here, feel free. Is there anything?
Well, I think people need to realize you're not here for yourself. You're here for someone else. And we have to support each other. I just thought, well, I just get up in the morning, I'll do whatever I need to do, whatever. But you need to look for an opportunity to be able to bless someone else. And that's how we get our blessing.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much, Miss Linda. And
you're welcome.
I appreciate you for being a part of the show. And I think you heard it all here, people. You better go on out there and be a blessing to somebody, because you can, and you don't have to be perfect or all the way there or all the way healed to go help somebody else. So thank you so much. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.